The 2954 Ship Showdown is upon us, and okay, it already started and this is running just a little late, but we're going to talk about my picks for the Ship Showdown and how I got there. And with any luck, I can hide my disdain for this weird farce of a ship sale. This is University of Stanton. Class is in session. We're a little late out of the gate here, and the C1 Spirit already took the first round, but I did vote for it, and the win was well deserved. But before we compare it to the Mercury Star Runner, let's get one acknowledgement out of the way. This matchup had to be contrived. For a category called the Freighter Division, it should be clear to anyone with an eye on activity at Repel, Maker's Point, and all the other trade points that the statistically most used ship had to be the C2 Hercules. Or maybe it just didn't count anymore after they banned all those people for duping. But that's okay, we'll play the Ship Showdown game. The C1 is the clear winner of the matchup in simple terms of its utility as a ship. Because we're well under that high-end threshold of actual cargo freighters, the difference between the C1's 64 cargo and the MSR's 114 is frankly academic. They have essentially the same missile capacity, and the C1 has double the pilot-controlled guns, smaller profile, better accelerations and turning, and a much tougher hull, alongside some minor damage resistances. By contrast, the Mercury has one additional shield, a useless hidden tunnel, complementary main character syndrome, and an imaginary game loop that no one at CIG even remembers they advertised. If you've watched this channel at all, you know my opinion of most ground vehicles. The gameplay available to them is severely lacking, and even the novelty of airdropping them is a rare, accident-prone occurrence. That was until we got the Ursa Medevac, which functions as a literal spawn point like the AMS Sunderer and Planetside 2. On top of offering its users shields, cover, and a turret, I don't know how anyone couldn't pick it except out of sheer love for go-karts. Don't get me wrong, I like the sexually transmitted vehicle, but it was not given a fair matchup here. The Medevac clearly wins for function, and the vote's already showing it ahead 4-1, which is a lot of people who aren't good enough at FPS to raw dog a bunker without a safety net. Vote Ursa. The Pathfinder Division bugs me a little. On the one hand, 890 jump owners probably need to be thrown a bone and given some kind of skin to replace the years-long off-white epidemic that it is. But around here we focus on function, and while I'd never take the 600i over a good Corsair or Connie, with its more recent hit point upgrades, its 2 size 3 shields, and 3 size 5 gun mounts, it actually makes a solid runner-up for everyday space bounty and PvE running. By comparison, the jump in 890 stands for the leap you'll need to make when you spawn it at a docking collar, and it offers a dorsal elevator to bug your smaller ships out in, free admission to the extra large hangar marathon, and it comes standard with a hydrogen refuel timer that makes waiting for Griefernet to torpedo your unsecured costume party a better option than trying to gas up again. Vote 600i. I almost never put any stock in lore, but once in a while something jumps out at me from the wiki, where the Anvil Gladiator is described as, I quote, a half-assed toy for full-grown children to play fighter hero, which describes precisely what one individual did a couple years ago while trying to make the Gladiator look good by seal clubbing new players on YouTube, which I would definitely never do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the post-Master Mode's F7A reality, no single-seater with only 2 size 3 guns is a threat, no turret with only 2 size 3 guns is worth another body, size 5 torpedoes have all the speed and usefulness of the development roadmap, and no ship gets to call itself a bomber if it can't carry any f***ing bombs. If you actually bought into the meta baiting at the time, I'll forgive you, but only if you vote for the Terrapin. Not only does this sick little tank desperately deserve a skin, but if you saw a recent top 3 ship builds guide, it actually makes one of the best choices for Klesher pickups and security post-Korea runs, on top of actually functioning as a decent dropship, which is something that can't be said for the actual dropships in this ass-backwards game. With over 100,000 hit points, 2 size 2 shields, and configurable low emissions, just do it. You know you want to get this baby a paint. It doesn't have any. Vote Terrapin. Once again, I question the statistics they used in choosing the competing ships because a quick glance at the Star Citizen racing leaderboards will reveal that no one uses the Fury LX for anything. You'll see the Merlin, the Razor, even the Gladius come up before you'll see the Fury, but the top spots are all dominated by the M50. If you're picking a ship as a racer, the M50 is the pretty clear choice until someone bothers to think the rest of Master Modes through and more than 5 people start racing again. It needs some skins anyway, so vote M50. I had to chuckle to myself at the utter lack of any mining ships in the heavy-duty division. I guess that's what happens when you revamp a game loop, then promptly break it and leave it like that for an entire year. I actually had a little trouble choosing between the Reclaimer versus Vulture. The Vulture does make a fun little solo ship, which with its expanded buffer means you aren't hopping out of the pilot seat every 2 minutes, but how does it really stack up next to the Reclaimer? While you obviously want to bring some friends to crew that monster, the rash of credit sellers who manage to solo operate them in a medical gown should show that that's more than viable. You're just gonna need to get a little more cardio in. The Vulture has enough cool paints anyway, maybe they'll make one for the Reclaimer that isn't another indistinguishable variation of drab vomit. Vote Reclaimer. Was it even fair to match a starter ship up against one of the quintessential alien ships in the game? It probably depends on whether or not you can step off the Banu Defender's ramp without it blowing up randomly yet. Let's be real, both of these ships are bad, except for the Tachyons you can strip off the Defender if you were to have the weird gumption to try and use them on a good ship. And I mean, this thing has enough paints anyway, but a vote for the Syulan is a vote for holding rear view to make a landing, with all the likely success of Drywall Kyle trying to back a lifted, coal-rolling F-350 into the compact space at Starbucks. He'd probably put the toilet paper on the floating roll backwards anyway. Vote Defender. An odd misnomer finds us in the Run and Gun division since the F-8C Lightning in 3.24 will be neither running nor gunning. It was already on the back foot in Master modes thanks to the overtuned Hornet lineup and its proclivity to gobble up missile hits like a competitive hot dog eater. But the final nail lands in the coffin next patch as its turning speed takes yet another hit and its hull starts taking even more damage from energy weapons too. Meanwhile, despite some similar nerfs, the F-7C Hornet Mark II will actually still function like a fighter and could use a paint that doesn't look like a blue 1950s kitchen appliance. Vote F-7C Mark II and let's get this Ship Showdown over with. If you like this video, feel free to drop by our Discord community where we talk ships, shop, and all the great things coming to Star Citizen. And thanks once again to our awesome and growing community of Patreon and YouTube members. If you're thinking about starting in Star Citizen, grab one of their referral codes from the list above for an extra 5,000 starting credits. This is University of Stanton. Class dismissed.